Join you today as our government presents Budget 2016, the Alberta Jobs Plan. A plan that moves Alberta forward. Thank you to all those Albertans who submitted their ideas for this budget. And the creation of this budget was inspired by Alberta's greatest strength, our people. Many Albertans are facing the anxiety of job loss and are worried that they may be next. The Alberta Jobs Plan will provide support for all Albertans to weather these tough times. Today, our province faces a choice. The first option is to slash and burn vital programs and services that Alberta families count on. This means laying off nurses and teachers. It's the wrong path. It moves us backwards. Instead, we'll carefully manage spending, ensuring we are spending every tax dollar wisely while helping Albertans as they weather this downturn. Even as oil prices plummet, Albertans will send their children to quality schools, and they will have access to timely medical care when they need it. Budget 2016 embodies these priorities. Priorities that Albertans have set in front of us and help move us forward together. Budget 2016 is designed to support Albertans as we face a once-in-a-generation economic downturn. The Alberta Jobs Plan outlines the critical steps our government is taking to get Albertans back to work. The Alberta Jobs Plan has 4 key pillars: supporting families and communities, investing in infrastructure, diversifying our energy industry and our energy markets, and supporting Alberta businesses. We know that by investing in Alberta's greatest strength, our people, we will emerge from this downturn stronger and with a more diversified economy that will be less susceptible to volatile swings in the energy market. Our Alberta Jobs Plan will improve the resiliency of our provincial economy. It manages spending growth carefully. It protects healthcare, education, and social services. It works to open new markets for our energy through pipelines east and west by being collaborative with our provincial partners and the federal government. And it creates an environment that encourages job creation in a new and diversified Alberta economy. This is what the Albertans have asked us for, and this is what Alberta's government is providing. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, we'll start at this microphone here.
Very quick question, Minister. You had initially, I think in October, mentioned that you'd expect to return to surplus in 2019-2020. There doesn't seem to be any mention of that at the moment. When would you expect to return to a balanced budget?
Thank you very much. You know, in Alberta, we know it's a bit of a fool's game to try and predict the price of oil into the future. And that's why we've taken a cautious and conservative approach, and we have built in a significant risk adjustment to account for the volatility in the oil price. Based on those assumptions in this budget, I'm aiming to balance the budget by 2024. To balance sooner would require that we undertake brutal cuts to health and education and pretty much every service provided by government. If the economy improves more quickly, and we all hope it does, then the budget will come into balance sooner.
And just a follow-up to that, what would the cumulative deficits be?
You know, I've got a fiscal plan in front of you right now, and it shows a cumulative plan, I think about $37 billion. That's for capital debt. That's where I would go to right now. But as I said, we won't undertake the kind of approach that puts us further behind the infrastructure 8-ball, and it has happened in previous governments years ago. We think we need to continue to invest in this province. We know that that will help our economy and help the Albertans who are out of work at this time.
We'll go to the next microphone.
Yeah, Minister, sort of following up on those questions. Obviously, debt is a big part of the story of this budget. 6 months ago, you introduced legislation that was going to cap the debt to GDP ratio at 15%. You're forecasting to exceed that. So what is the plan? And are you going to have to introduce new legislation? Will there be a new cap? What is the plan there?
Yeah. Well, the 15% debt to GDP, you know, we're in a different situation than we were 6 months ago, as you've intimated. We know we need to continue to invest in this province. Our economy's changed dramatically since when we first implemented that 15% debt to GDP. We still maintain one of the best balance sheets in the country. We believe that if the economy improves more quickly, that we'll be able to be below that 15% debt to GDP, but I think it's prudent and upfront to say in our fiscal plan that we have here, it's exceeded in year 3 by 0.5 percentage point. So I will be introducing legislation today that eliminates the 15% debt to GDP, and it'll allow us more flexibility, though I'm hopeful we won't need that additional flexibility.
So there will be no cap on the debt.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll come to the next microphone.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
You call it the Alberta Jobs Plan. How many jobs are you expected to be created by this budget?
We are expecting the Alberta Jobs Plan to set an environment in the for private entrepreneurs, to be able to see 100,000 jobs created by the private sector. The Alberta Jobs Plan has many, many parts, as I've identified briefly. It'll support people who are needing that support at this point in time, who are out of work, to get better skills training, to get education so that they can get back in the workforce. It provides another aspect that'll create economic diversification by a whole series or a suite of initiatives that our Economic Development Trade Minister will be able to tell you about. So I'm really proud of that part. The capital investment part, of course, I'm really proud about too, because it'll put companies and people who need work back to work through the development of infrastructure throughout this province: roads, hospitals, bridges, and schools. So there are 3 things that I mentioned there that I'm really proud of that will create an environment for 100,000 people to get to work.
The budget shows that there's expected to be a higher unemployment in the coming year. When do you expect these new jobs to start showing up?
I think the budget shows about it topping out at 8% unemployment and then starting to go down. 7.9 was the latest I've seen. So we have unemployed Albertans who can benefit from this investment from the capital that the province is providing. And that's great. That's the choice we're making, to put Albertans back to work through the jobs plan. Others have taken other approaches through austerity and other kinds of things, but we're not going to do that.
We're going to go to Calgary now. Operator, can you please put through the first caller?
Good afternoon. It's Jeff Morgan from the Financial Post. Thank you for taking my question. I have one and then a follow-up. In the budget, it shows that the projected government revenues in 2018 from the carbon levy will be $2.4 billion. My understanding was that at the time this program was announced, the expectation was to take in $3 billion. Can you explain the difference between the two figures, that $600 million?
Sorry, I just can't off the top of my head, but I can tell you, as you and other people know, that every cent of that is going to be recycled through a series of programs back into the economy. The levy is something we believe will help Albertans make better choices in terms of the burning of fossil fuels. It'll reduce emissions, and we're very proud that we're going to be the first jurisdiction government in North America with the most progressive carbon reduction plan in place.
All right, and my follow-up question is, the program gives a rebate to income or lower-income Albertans. Why isn't there a rebate for Albertans that actually do reduce their emissions? So, for example, take the bus, take the train, etc.
This is an adjustment that goes back to low and middle income Albertans, recognizing that their situation is different because a greater proportion of their income will be going into paying the carbon levy. We're trying to adjust back so that they can make better choices, have the monies to make better choices about how to reduce fuels, the burning of fuels. We are not doing this on a consumption basis, that if you consume, if you use so much, you get so much back. We're doing it on a population-wide basis, and we think it's going to be progressive and help us bend the curve on the use of carbon.
We'll take another question from Calgary. Calgary, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking the question. George Clark from Albertans First. On January 1st, we issued an appeal to Rachel Notley and Human Services asking for the provincial government to intervene in EI benefit improvements for Albertans. So we thank you for following up with that. It's much appreciated for all of those unemployed. But the second request that we had in that particular appeal was asking for some revisions to Section 8 in regards to disposal of assets prior to qualifying for income support. A large number of Albertans do not qualify for EI, are already finding themselves in the situation of having to go for income support, and particularly the senior citizens having to divest themselves of all of their RRSP investments and perhaps downsize their houses and get rid of all of their life insurance and savings is an extreme burden upon those people.
I'm sorry, I'm
So
just going to
is
jump
there
in here.
anything-
Could we get to the question, please?
Is there anything in this budget that is going to change the qualifying factors for disposal of assets?
Well, you know, I would encourage you to listen in to my budget speech that'll take place in a couple hours. I do reference the whole work that this government will be doing with regard to pressing for improvements to EI. I know I'm not specifically answering your rather technical questions, but we want Albertans to work. And the Alberta Jobs Plan is designed to, in many broad ways, assist Albertans who are either unemployed, get back to work, get training, or if they're been laid off, to get their companies back to work. So we're going to be pushing hard on the Alberta Jobs Plan to make sure that you and others who are currently unemployed are not in that situation in the near future.
Okay, we're going to come back to Edmonton and to this microphone. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Thanks, Minister. When you talk about the 100,000 private sector jobs that will be created, can you explain a little bit more how that's created, how something like a business credit?
Yeah, we're going to be, thank you. We're going to be making sure that the tools are available for small businesses, for investors to invest in small and medium-sized businesses through the investor tax credit. That's one. There's another where we're going to be making sure that so the investor tax credit, another one incentivizes capital investment to value-added production in a number of sectors, so people can invest in those companies and businesses that need infrastructure, materials, and that's going to assist. We're making we're going to be introducing a small business tax cut. So that's going to make more money available to those small businesses so that they can either hire or sustain themselves for a longer period of time through this downturn. We're going to do a number of things that Darren Billis will be able to tell you about in greater detail that'll provide the support for businesses through incubators and those tax credits, small business tax cut, et cetera.
Excuse me, what type of jobs do you expect to create, and will they be permanent jobs?
I anticipate they will be permanent jobs, yes, if you're making investments in your businesses through tax credits or getting money from people through tax credits, and you're going to be expanding your businesses. I anticipate that those will be full-time, quality-paying jobs.
What kind of a job?
What kind of a job?
Yeah, what job?
What job?
What are some examples?
I can see a small business hiring people to address the needs of, if there's, there'll be construction jobs, there'll be service industry jobs, there will be technical jobs.
All right, we're going to come to Michelle at this microphone.
Hi, Minister. My understanding was that we were going to see a plan for paying back the debt in this budget. I don't see it in the fiscal plan, so do you have a plan for paying back the debt?
So I think I said the same thing with the previous budget. As we get back to balance, there will be attention paid both to the contingency account and for debt repayment. That's not possible in this time frame, as you know. We are in a situation where we're needing to address important public services. We're needing to invest in this province. We're needing to ensure that every tax dollar is well accounted for. So the situation as we return to balance, we will turn our attention to debt repayment.
And that won't be till 2012 or 2024, you're saying?
I'm not able to tell you about debt repayment now because really we're in a deficit situation. Until we come to balance, until our deficit is eliminated, until we start to top up our contingency account, we will not be able to pay down the debt that we are currently experiencing.
And just a quick follow-up to what Darcy asked earlier. You
Sure.
said 100,000 jobs over what time period?
That time period is over 3 years.
All right, we're going to go to Calgary for another question. Calgary, can you put through the next question?
Hi, Minister. Chris Rock with the Calgary Herald. Just to follow up on the debt questions, the budget shows the liabilities for capital projects and fiscal borrowing going from about $20 billion last year to about $57 billion in 2018, 2019. I'm wondering, in your mind, how much debt is too much?
As I said before, we have the best balance sheet in the country. We are debt to GDP. We are the best, or one of the best in the country. We have the fiscal capabilities to be able to take on debt to handle the significant downturn in the economy that we're experiencing at this point in time. We will not make the choice of balancing our books and reducing our debt on the backs of Albertans. We will make the choice of carrying Albertans until we can see our economy improve, and we're going to be doing that through our Alberta Jobs Plan.
Calgary, we'll do one more question from Calgary. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to follow up, Minister. Do you have a percentage in mind in terms of the GDP, the debt that you would be comfortable with? And I guess the follow-up on that is, do you expect to have a downgrade from credit rating agencies?
Well, the fiscal plan before you shows that at the third year, we are looking at 15.5% debt to GDP. That is what I think we'll get to, what we need to be able to do all the things that are in this budget. I am going to be fighting to support the 2 AAAs and 1 AA. Plus, I'm going to be keeping to the plan that we've got before us. And as I said before, bond rating managers want to know that you're dedicated to the plan that you set before them. We did that with Budget 2015. We said our deficit would be just over $6 billion. We came in at just over $6 billion. We found $307 million in savings in the last year. We will be finding more savings going forward. So I'm very confident when I sit across from bond rating agency managers and talk to them about Alberta, they will see that we are staying with our commitment to the fiscal plan we lay out before them and not anything else.
Calgary, please put through the next question.
Minister, it's Deborah Yevlin from the Calgary Herald. 2 questions. One is, you talked a lot in your remarks about diversifying the Alberta economy. Can you be a bit more specific in terms of what that looks like?
Sure, I can, Deborah, but really the good work of Minister Billis will be explaining many times over in the next little while what that is. But I can tell you that we have a 2-year, $250 million package to support job creators and encourage business capital investment and attract new businesses to Alberta, support regional economic development, and improve access to training opportunities. There's going to be new funding initiatives for the Alberta Enterprise Corporation, for the Alberta Investor Tax Credit, and for the Capital Investment Tax Credit, which will also support job creation. There'll be new funding initiatives, $165 million to support job creators through those new tax credits. There'll be $25 million in additional funding for the Alberta Enterprise Corporation to spur innovation. That's on top of the $50 million that was last year. And there's going to be $35 million to attract and support new businesses and pursue regional economic development initiatives, and $25 million for new apprenticeship and training opportunities.
The budget still doesn't plug the hole of a 90% drop in non-renewable resource revenue. Why is this government not looking at something like a value-added tax and putting in a sales tax?
We have said repeatedly no to sales tax.
So how are you going to plug the
No,
budget hole?
I've said repeatedly no to sales tax. Albertans don't want sales tax. We're not bringing it in. There is no payroll tax. There is no health premiums. We will manage our way through this by reducing the cost of our operations. We will incentivize job creators throughout the province. We are reducing small business tax to further incentivize them. And we will have a capital investment throw that will stimulate the economy going forward. So that's the plan. That's what we said we would do and we're going to do.
All right, we're going to come back to the floor. Ryan, go ahead.
Sir, the credit rating agencies last fall said that they were concerned that Alberta didn't seem to have a plan for its fiscal future going forward. I'm wondering, considering you're not...
Can you come closer?
Sure. I'm wondering, considering you're not raising taxes and you're not cutting expenses, is our plan essentially...
We are cutting expenses.
We are cutting expenses significantly.
We are cutting expenses. I'll just stop you, and then I'll go on to your credit rating question again. We are bending the curve on operational expenses going forward. Previous governments were all over the map in terms of their operations, and it's in the budget document as well. We showed with this last year, we only increased 2.7%. Next year and the year after that and the year after that, on average, we are going to be increasing by 2%, which is a far cry from previous governments in this regard. Credit bond rating agencies, though, if that's your question.
My question is it fair to say that your plan for filling that deficit gap largely adds up to higher oil prices?
No, it's not fair to say that. What is fair to talk about is how we're bending the curve on operational expenses going forward. All ministers and myself know that we have to do a better job on that, and we are doing that, and our most recent budget, 2015, shows it. We are going to be supporting the creation of jobs. More people working is better for our tax base. We're going to be diversifying the economy going forward, and that'll give us a better profile on the revenues coming in, which are too volatile at this point in time and too dependent on oil.
All right, we're going to come back to this microphone. Go ahead.
Sir, a disproportionate number of the boards and commissions being amalgamated or cut altogether appear to be agriculture-related or rural-related. Why is that?
I don't think that's actually accurate. What we did in phase one was to look at the APEGA boards and commissions and agencies. And we are amalgamating some, and they might be in that area. So there'll still be representation for agricultural boards and commissions, but in a more amalgamated way. And we are eliminating some that weren't necessary. And those two actions, I think across 26 agencies, boards, and commissions, will save us $33 million over 3 years.
And just quick follow-up, so this changes back to the carbon levy a little bit here, but I'm still a little unclear why bring in such an ambitious tax and then offer a pretty significant rebate for the first few years? Doesn't that defeat the purpose to a certain extent?
Yeah, no, I'd like to take an opportunity again to talk about that. We're very proud of the Climate Leadership Plan #1. We believe that we'll be ahead of every jurisdiction in Canada with regard to a progressive way to start to bend the curve on carbon use in our province. We are recognizing that low and middle income Albertans pay a disproportionately higher amount of money as a result of their lower and middle incomes for the levy that we'll be putting in place. And so we're rebating back to them to adjust their payment so that they can do more in terms of reducing their carbon use. They can do more in terms of being more efficient. They can improve their homes and reduce and take alternatives or buy different vehicles or whatever they want to do to improve their situations and reduce their use of carbon.
All right, we'll come to this microphone. Go ahead.
I have a couple questions about municipal finance.
Aha.
The first is in regards to affordable housing. It looks like there's a significant new investment in affordable housing. I'm trying to figure out how much it is, how much of it is new as opposed to old commitments, and why exactly you're making that investment at this time.
Yeah. We are almost doubling the investment in affordable housing for new and rehabs of affordable housing units throughout the province because Albertans who require affordable housing deserve a decent place to live. We believe that for far too long there was not enough money put into the budget to address the rehabilitation of affordable housing that is owned often by the province of Alberta. So we are changing that going forward. You'll have to speak to Minister Sigurdsson to find out exactly what is different, but I know there's a doubling of that amount of money going forward.
My second question relates to the Climate Leadership Fund.
Yep.
The City of Edmonton and I believe other jurisdictions have kind of green plans such as bike lanes, and in Edmonton, the District Energy Program for Blatchford. Are those the kinds of programs that could seek funding and hope to get funding out of this Climate Leadership Fund?
Yeah, the Climate Leadership Fund, Climate Leadership Plan and the monies collected have several ways of being rebated back into the economy. Energy efficiency investments is one area. Infrastructure improvements that will reduce carbon is another area. So we'll have more about the specific ways that not only municipalities but companies, individuals can access those funds as we start to roll out the implementation of all of that. But certainly something like that sounds like it could.
We're going to go back to Calgary. Calgary, could you put through the next question?
Minister, it's Trevor Howell from the Calgary Herald. I just have a question on infrastructure spending. Given that that's a key pillar of the NDP government's jobs plan, I'm curious that in the business plan shows that the government seems to struggle to get a lot of that capital construction dollars out the door, just over 40%. I'm curious what challenges you see in getting this capital money out the door this year to ensure that the government is creating these jobs. What challenges are there?
You know, I don't know if I agree with your percentage, but I do know there was a percentage of monies that was lapsed into future years, but I was assured that we were as good or better than other jurisdictions in that regard, that we though lapsing monies, we did not lose those monies for capital projects. We just were not able to take timely advantage of the investment this time. But you know, we have a rather large $8.5 billion investment will be spent this year on capital. That's a lot, but I'm assured, I know that Minister Mason, myself, and cabinet colleagues, because this is so important in terms of getting Albertans back together through the Alberta Jobs Plan, we will keep our eye on this and make sure that we do as good or better than private sector comparators when looking at capital investments.
Is there a follow-up question? Okay, Calgary, we'll do one more question from Calgary.
Thanks, Joe. Trevor Marr, Albertans First, so 2 Trevors in a row.
regarding Alberta NDP strategy. It is important and worth mentioning and reminding all of us again that Alberta has 40% of a world-required product used throughout the world by everyone, everywhere, to do everything. Oil prices will return. We have seen this before.
Yes to pipelines.
Yeah, thanks.
Was that your question?
No, but it's close. Obtaining new markets for Alberta fossil fuels, securing, providing approvals to allow market access, pipelines.
Okay.
These are real issues that need to be resolved now
Okay.
rather than kicking the can
Is
further
there,
down
sorry,
the
I'm going to
road.
interrupt. Is there a question there?
Treasurer, I'm just going to answer what I think you're asking. We will be steadfast in moving forward on the issue of pipelines with our federal and provincial government counterparts. We will be pushing pipelines at every opportunity. It is the safest, most economical way to transport our most valuable commodity in this province, and we will not rest until there are pipelines to Tidewater.
Great. We're going to come back to Edmonton now. And Jason, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, sir. There are you are spend as you've boasted. You are spending.
Boasted?
Sorry, you are increasing spending by less than. Okay, as you have said, you're increasing spending by less than population and inflation increase, and you're also deferring some $200 million or so of planned spending. How will Albertans feel those? How will Albertans feel that?
We are keeping frontline services on social services, human services, education, post-secondary education, and health, fully funded. We will be, so Albertans won't see their necessary resources in those areas affected at all.
What will they feel?
Yeah.
This is less money coming into the system. What will they feel?
Part of what we're doing, Jason, is to slow down our following through on a few campaign promises. So we booked some initiatives in Budget 2015 that we will not be following through with at this time. We will get back to them when we can. That's one thing. And we are going to find another $250 million in savings in our budget this year. Like we found, we targeted $250 million last year. We found 307. So we're going to stay on that.
So are you confident this is basically the utmost that the Alberta government can do in terms of spending constraint without the deep, dark abyss of laying off all the teachers and all the nurses?
I'm confident that we are going to be utilizing every tax dollar the most efficient way we can possibly use.
Okay, we'll go to Justin.
Minister, earlier you said that the climate leadership plan is going to reduce carbon emissions. Do you actually have a number for how much emissions will be reduced?
You know, the climate leadership panel probably has those numbers, Jason. That's more technical than I can give you at this time.
And this kind of goes, I guess, with Jason's questions a bit. But you know, when Albertans went to the polls last year, they voted on a party platform that had a number of expensive promises, but those promises had the caveat that they'll only happen when economic conditions allow. Is it safe to assume at this point that economic conditions will not allow those?
What's safe to assume is that we have fulfilled almost all of those promises. If you take a look at the list of them, you can put checks by almost every one of them. The ones that we are not able to follow through at this time are not, we cannot fit them in our budget at this time.
All right, we'll go to Bill. Go ahead.
Minister, in a $50 billion budget, $250 million is earmarked for actual job creation initiatives. You've called the whole budget the Alberta Jobs Plan. Other than optics, can you explain why you've called, 0.5% of the entire spending is on job creation? Why call the entire budget the Alberta Jobs Plan, other than optics?
Sure. Well, I think you're missing some other things. The investments we're providing and supporting families with, though not job-related, will provide a better quality of life so people can do more for themselves and their families. And that particularly is the Alberta Child Benefit, with over $200 million more dollars going out to families so that they can improve their quality of life. They can spend time perhaps on getting a better education. They can get more training, more skills development. So there are other parts of our budget, like the capital infrastructure investments that will put Albertans back to work. That's a significant throw this year at $8.5 billion. So you could roll that in with the 250.
Still totals a very small amount compared to some of the other things like a carbon tax for the first time.
The carbon tax is being fully rebated back to everyone, though, or being used for different initiatives. So that'll also create green employment, green jobs, as people take advantage of, say, putting panels on their roof, or municipalities take advantage of construction monies that they might want to put infrastructure in their communities with.
Okay, we'll go to Otiana.
Minister Mason said last summer that there would be an infrastructure sunshine list in this budget. How come it's not there?
I don't know what page it's on, but it is there.
It's not. It doesn't show the priority of the actual projects. It just gives them an alphabetical order.
Yeah, we put all of the capital initiatives that met some three criteria. Sorry. So all of the capital infrastructure that met some criteria, three criteria, we put on a list, and I think that list has about 100 names on it of different projects. They're not listed 1 to 100, but they're indicative of the kinds of things that will make its way onto our capital funding list once we move other things off the get them built and off the list. So the plan is to do that. The commitment has been kept, and all Albertans will be able to see the kinds of projects that meet funding from the provincial government in the future.
But if the funding does become available, which would be the first project?
On a yearly basis, we'll review all of the projects on the list, and if they still meet the criteria and we have the available funds, they will move into our capital funding plan.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with one more question from each microphone. Yep, so do you want to go ahead with your question?
Over there.
How does this affect the family household budget beyond the 2 previously announced credit and benefits? What's in it for Alberta families who are struggling right now?
Yeah, well, many things. Alberta families can count on the government programs and services that are here in this province and that they have invested in over time to stay strong and to stay available, and not to have to search them out for themselves because we've downloaded responsibility onto them. We're not making that choice. Previous governments have made that choice. Alberta families will be able to know that schools are solid and have great classrooms and teachers in those classrooms. Hospitals are there. Alberta families will know that the investment throughout this province is happening because we are making the capital available for that to happen through our partners in the community. What was your question?
How this is helping families who are going to be now they're now facing a carbon tax that they didn't before.
Oh, is that your question?
Well, how is life improving for them beyond 2 previously announced credits, benefits, when they're going to face this new tax?
So your question is around the carbon tax.
Well, I'm asking what in this budget is helping families.
Well, I would.
With their household finances.
Sure. I would stay tuned for the speech shortly as one thing. And then I would say that Alberta families will know we have their backs. Not only we are rebating back to Alberta families who are low and middle income the carbon levy, but we are investing in schools. We are investing in hospitals. We are investing in infrastructure in this province that they need on a daily basis. We are also going to be, for low and middle income families, assisting them with an Alberta Child Benefit that is, and improvements to the Alberta Family Employment Tax Credit that will allow them the opportunity to spend money on their families in ways that previous governments did not invest as much in. And it's going to be combined with the national child benefit as well. So, for instance, a low-income single mother of 2 will have $6,000 more new dollars per year to be able to meet the needs of her family. So I think there are many, many positive things in Budget 2016 that will help Alberta families out, both now and in the future.
We're going to take our last question from Kim. Go ahead.
Minister, I'm wondering what have you left on the table that you can't get to, that you were hoping to at the time when you were elected almost a year ago? And what does it feel like for you to deliver a budget like this, given that it's so different than it was when you formed government?
It feels great, actually. It feels wonderful to be able to provide the support for Albertans that Budget 2016 will. We're able to, I'm very proud of all the work that we've been doing in the 11 months we've been here. I can remember many people across the aisle saying, you're going too fast, you're going too fast. Well, it was only fast relative to the inaction of the previous government for 44 years. We are continuing to put the pedal to the metal so that we can support Albertans through this downturn, the worst downturn in a generation. We're going to come out the other side in 2017, and this government's going to be there for Albertans in the meantime, and it feels pretty good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.